The Chevrolet Trax has come a long way since the first generation, but now with its more aggressive looks and larger road presence, the Trax has joined the growing trend of brands producing bigger subcompact crossovers that quite frankly are becoming affordable family-friendly vehicles that offer a plethora of comfort and convenience features not previously seen in this segment before. One rival that comes to mind is the new Honda HR-V, that also went through a bit of a growth spurt and switched platforms to better meet the demands of car shoppers in the price range below $30,000. So let's see how the 2024 Trax stacks up against a worthy foe in this market. Starting off with the Trax, Chevrolet dropped in a 1.2-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine that produces 137 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. But the key takeaway here is that this powertrain is paired with the 6-speed automatic transmission. Subcompacts have never been known to be the most engaging nor the quickest, but manufacturers are attempting to change all of that by at least giving owners the perception of quality and overall enjoyment behind the wheel. With a 0 to 60 time of around 9 seconds, the Trax isn't a barnstormer, and you're certainly not going to get pushed back in your seat during heavy accelerations. However, because you have a turbo and a traditional automatic, you won't experience the constant droning like we hear in rivals when entering highways, and that is further compounded by the 3-cylinder engine that's relatively quiet compared to most naturally aspirated 4 cylinders that are typically offered in this market. What caught us by surprise was the handling and steering input, as there was a faint feeling of weight when approaching sharper corners on back roads, which is not something you would expect for a crossover priced at $25,000. Because the Trax is essentially a lifted hatchback, its car-like on-road demeanor hides the usually lackluster handling that subcompacts are known for, and since the Trax is not performance-oriented, the suspension isn't all that rigid. However, this crossover does just enough to not lull you to sleep, and with an open mind, you could find yourself enjoying your weekly commutes with the Trax. The Honda HR-V, on the other hand, has many strengths, but the driving dynamics aren't one of them. Under the hood is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that produces 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque, which is paired with a CVT. The key differences between the two crossovers boiled down to the transmission and the discrepancy in pound-feet of torque for the HR-V, as the subcompact gasps for air when trying to pass slower drivers on the highway, and the CVT hammers home the same faults that plague vehicles in this price range. Yet even with the shortcomings for straight-line speed, buyers will love the more rigid suspension that underpins the HR-V, as the independent rear suspension improves ride quality and does provide some level of cushioning when going over uneven pavement. The HR-V has always been chosen for its practicality and fuel efficiency above everything else, and while Honda has made great strides in changing the perception surrounding this crossover, performance-wise it would be better served with a stronger powertrain, whether that means dropping in a turbo or maybe offering a hybrid variant much like the rest of the lineup. In the subcompact crossover segment, you won't be receiving all the bells and whistles, as many comfort features are often reserved for larger vehicles in brands' lineups. But you may be genuinely surprised to find out that the Honda HR-V and Chevy Trax provides an ownership experience that might catch you off guard if you've purchased cars or crossovers in this price range before. The models we had featured and are shown throughout this video is an HR-V Sport and Trax 2RS, which ironically cost around $25,000, making this comparison more accurate. However, there are some distinct differences if you offer the top trims from both vehicles that you may find appealing. First, for the HR-V, the interior does offer some softer touch materials to elevate the driving experience, but compared to last generation, you'll also have some amenities and modern tech that fits its mid to high $20,000 price point. While not equipped on the Sport, the HR-V gives you dual-zone climate control, heated leather trim seats with the driver's side being power adjustable, a 9-inch touchscreen which is only available for the EXL, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, a wireless phone charging pad, and a half digital, half analog gauge cluster. If tech features aren't a top priority and you want to stay strict with your budget, the Sport is a great option, as the heated cloth seats offer a good amount of support and cushioning, and the smaller head unit is still intuitive with the basic necessities. More importantly, the HR-V gets the same dashboard from the redesigned Honda Civic, which does have a classy and clean look. The Trax, on the other hand, is at its best for the 2RS and Active, as Chevy spared no expense to give drivers a tech-dominated cabin. Unlike the HR-V, you will have a full digital instrument display that is customizable and showcases a wide range of information. You'll also have an 11-inch touchscreen that really isn't too different from Honda's user interface in terms of what it provides when it pertains to features. Just like the HR-V, you'll have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, with a wireless phone charging pad being available. However, the Trax does not offer dual zone climate control, and while we do like the sportier exterior design for the 2RS, opting for the Active will make more sense, as heated seats and a power adjustable driver's seat makes you feel as though you're getting more for $25,000. Comfort-wise, the leatherette upholstery is typical for a crossover in this market. But one key difference is that there's harder touch plastics on the door panels and dashboard. However, that would be expected for a vehicle priced under $30,000. All in all, both crossovers share many similarities in terms of what they offer, and ultimately, it comes down to pricing, as a top trim EXL for the HR-V will be creeping towards the $30,000 mark, whereas the Trax hovers closer to $26,000 to $27,000. Where the Trax and HR-V both improved with their new generations was upsizing to become almost compact crossover-like. And that's not only apparent from the outside, but also the interiors that we just highlighted. Both subcompacts traveled similar paths to where they are today, as the HR-V is 10 inches longer and 2 inches wider than its predecessor, making it larger than the Toyota Corolla Cross, Subaru Crosstrek, and Mazda CX-30. Similar to the HR-V for 2024, the Trax grows in length by 11 inches and is 2 inches wider than the crossover it's replacing, making both subcompacts some of the bigger options in this segment. And because of that, they're also very practical, to a point where you may not need to buy a more expensive compact crossover. For the cargo space, the HR-V comes in with 24.4 cubic feet of room behind the second row seats, and when those seats are folded, that nearly doubles in size to 55 cubic feet. The Trax will offer 25.6 cubic feet initially when the second row seats are up, and 54 cubic feet when folded. From a practicality perspective, both are nearly identical, but more importantly, outclass the Subaru Crosstrek and Mazda CX-30, giving Chevy and Honda family-friendly alternatives in this segment. Now, a potential deciding factor is that the Trax currently doesn't offer all-wheel drive as an option, which could steer buyers in a different direction if they feel more comfortable driving a crossover with something other than front-wheel drive. And that's where the HR-V slots into place. But it should be worth mentioning that to opt for all-wheel drive, you'll be paying an additional $1,500. Lastly, for off-road capability, both the Trax and HR-V will have just over 7 inches of ground clearance, but it's highly unlikely you'll be encountering terrain besides pavement with either crossover. All in all, the Chevy Trax and Honda HR-V in 2023 are vast improvements from where both crossovers were just a few years ago. They're no longer econo-boxes, and instead, they're vehicles of substance that offer an array of features to make them great values on the market today. If performance and technology is what you're looking for, we'd lean more towards the Trax. However, the HR-V does have a better interior, especially if you decide to purchase an EXL with the leather seats and 9-inch touchscreen. Of course, it boils down to personal preference, but we'd say the Trax is a more appealing option right now in 2023. We hope you enjoyed this comparison between the Chevy Trax and Honda HR-V. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one. And if you're interested in buying a subcompact crossover, make sure to check out our full reviews and quick buyer's guides to help you find your next vehicle. And thanks for watching.